Hello and welcome. Today I want to show you how to get started with DynoLibrary. For our exercise, you're going to need to install node.js and Angular CLI. For my IDE, I use Visual Studio Code, but you can use any of your preference. Let's start by creating a project with Angular CLI. I'm going to go ahead and create ng new car dealer. That's going to be the name of my project. Once my project has been created, I'm gonna go open it with Visual Studio Code, and I'm gonna go to the package JSON. I will go to the DynoLibrary website, and I will copy these peer dependencies. Copy them, bring them to the project. I'm gonna add a script, and I'm gonna call it peer. I'm gonna paste the dependencies, and I'm gonna modify the script. I'm going to use this script only for installing my peer dependencies. I don't have to leave it there once I have installed them. Now let's open the terminal and run npm run peer. Wait a second. Okay, I gotta save my file. npm run peer. And this will start installing the dependencies. Once they are installed, we can come back. Now that the dependencies have been installed, we can go ahead and install DynoTable. npm i DynoTable. Let's go to the DynoLibrary website. Copy these lines. Let's go back to our project, locate Angular JSON file, and replace the style and scripts lines. I change this to a CSS. Now I can go to the app module, add the DynoTable module, import the DynoTable module from DynoTable, save it, and now I can start my project with ng-serve. Let's go to the app component HTML, select all these and remove it. Let's save our files. Now we can go to the DynoLibrary website and let's go to DynoTable. Let's go to the HTML, select this part, copy, and paste it here. But before we paste it, we're gonna create some div containers. Couple of classes, and let's paste this here. Okay. Now let's remove, for now, the filters and pages. Before we save this, we're gonna go to the app module, the app component. We're gonna change this to cars. Let's go here and let's implement first the columns. This is gonna be an array. And we're gonna implement the column objects. ID, I'm gonna name this car ID. And then car brand. No, wait, I'm gonna call this a label. Gotta add the label first. Car ID, column, and ID car brand. the label that we're going to use for the column is going to be car brand. Let's add ID car color, and the label is going to be car color. Okay, so we have implemented the columns. Now we can go ahead and implement the cars. It's also going to be an array. Let's add all the IDs of the columns. So car ID. It can be any number, it doesn't matter. Car brand. Let's say Mazda. Let's add car color. Let's say it's a white color. Now let's copy this line and add a couple of cars more. Say change this ID and let's add Ford. It's going to be a red Ford. Let's create another ID. Let's go to Toyota. Blue. Let's add one more. Let's keep it as Mazda 2, but it's going to be red. Okay. Now let's save this. We also have to implement on-click method. Well, it's not really needed right now, so we can remove this one. Now we can save it. Let's go back to, let's try to open our local host. So this is our first Dyno table, but let's do a couple of changes more. So let's add some padding to this. So our container is going to add some padding. Okay, 40 pixels. And let's create our table box class. Let's say we're going to create a border. It's going to be gray, solid 1 pixel with padding of 10 pixels, or let's give it 20. A border radius of 10 pixels. And let's save this. Let's go see. So here's our first data table. Oh, the car ID is not coming up, so let's correct this, fix this. So it has to be car ID. Well, here, there's the mistake. Let's go back to Dyno table, and there's the ID. Now we have IDs, car brands, colors, and we can search. By default, the minimum character search is going to be 3. Let's say Mazda, Tesla. Oh, we don't have Tesla. Or Toyota. Okay. Now let's make a couple of changes. Strip is true. Let's change it to false. You see it's not stripped anymore. Let's go back. Now let's implement filters. Let's come here and copy the filters. Let's copy a couple of them. Control C. Let's go back to our module and then a component. Paste it here. Let's close the options. Let's close the object and let's close the array. Now let's change these two. Let's say car. It has to have the same name as the column name. So car brand. Now the label, car brand. And let's change this to Mazda. Mazda. The label is very important. It has to be the same values as it is presented in the data. So let's change this to Ford. Ford. Toyota. Toyota. Okay, let's save these filters. Let's add them back to column. The input fields here. Filters equal to filters. Let's save this. Let's go back to our table and you'll see that the filter got added here. Now that we select Mazda, it is showing us only Mazdas, Ford, Toyotas. Okay. Let's go back. Let's implement one more filter. This is one of our filters. Let's do it for the color. So car, color. Let's change the label to card, color. Now what colors we have? White, red, and blue. Let's say white, white, red, red, blue, blue. Control S. Let's change it to stripped again as true. And let's change the minimum character search to 2. Save this. Now let's go back to our table. Now the other filter has been added. White cars, red cars, there are 2 of them, and blue cars. Now let's clean them again. Let's say red and only Mazdas. There you go. So the filters are working fine. What about the search? So we change it to minimum character search as 2. So I write Ma and it will get the Mazdas. To and we'll get the Toyota. Blue, BLRE, reds. Okay, so this is our first exercise with DynoTable. It's very easy to implement and it's ready to use. Thank you guys. Okay, now let's implement pages. Let's go to the DynoLibrary website and let's copy this object. Let's go to our app component class and add it to the end. Let's change the size of the pages. And let's save this. Let's go to HTML component and add the pages right here. Let's save this. Now let's go see the changes. And oh, wait. Now we still need to duplicate these records. Let's just make copies so we can see the pages and pagination. Let's save this. Now let's go to our website. So as you can see, by default it's going to show the first 10, which can change it to 25. And here is the number 50. Let's return to 10 and we still have our pagination here. Our filters are still working. White or red. Well, there you go. Those are the pages. Thank you very much.